look, signing Lamar Jackson isn't just like a free agent where it costs you nothing draft compensation-wise. And signing Lamar Jackson isn't really going to be anything of an outlier from any other contract in the NFL, save one. And signing Lamar Jackson, you're not getting the 2019 version. You're getting the 2023 version, which did not finish the 2021 or 2022 seasons healthy. There is an incredible amount of moving parts and caveats and this and that. And so anybody out there saying, hey, nobody's jumping at him, there must be something fishy going on here. It's not all things being equal at all. And I know Richard Sherman threw out Joe Burrow's name out there. Joe Burrow, has none of everything that I just said. Also, what he doesn't have is an MVP. I understand that. So all things being equal, though, is why wouldn't a team just decide to say 2 1s and let's go talk to him and see if he'll take something less than the guaranteed offer? Part of the fear of that is you're doing the work for Baltimore, hammering out the deal that Baltimore didn't put on the table that they, upon further review, would be willing to take, because the other option would be drafting somebody from the deep 20s, which would not net them an immediate successor to Baltimore, to Lamar. Is that literally what is also a dynamic here? Did I pick that up?
Well, let's
Tom?
be clear on something you mentioned there, Rich. I do anticipate teams are going to talk to Lamar Jackson and his mother, who's his advisor.
Right now, like literally right now.
They will have those conversations.
Yeah.
And just because 4 or 5 teams were reported to not be in, there are 32 teams, I'm pretty sure, still in the NFL. We've got a lot of other teams that are unaccounted for here. And why would you not have those conversations? In terms of the contract here and what Lamar Jackson wants, you've only had 2 fully guaranteed contracts for multi-year quarterback deals in recent NFL history. And it was Kirk Cousins, who had to play out 2 franchise tags in Washington to get there and got 3 years, $84 million from the Vikings. And it was Deshaun Watson, who had a multiple bidder situation that drove the price up to 5 years, $230 million fully guaranteed. Lamar Jackson, to this point, has never been able to have a multiple bidder situation. He's been in negotiation with one team. And because he does not have an agent, I think this is important to understand. He really does not have a gauge on the rest of the market. Yes, he can lean on the NFL Players Association, but a big part of what agents do year-round in these types of situations is, and remember, Rich, teams can tamper. Agents technically can call whoever they want, and they do, to make sure they understand, hey, if he were to get out, what am I looking at someplace else? And you have relationships within the league, and you can figure out, okay, this is probably going to beat anything we're going to be able to get elsewhere. And you run the numbers and you figure out what is the best thing to do in this particular situation, absent any history, absent any other deal. Lamar hasn't really had that. And so the first time that he's going to be able to do that is next Wednesday, March 15th, because franchise players are not allowed to speak to teams prior to that.
Okay.
And then they will be able to, let's see who has meetings with Lamar Jackson. Let's see who goes down that road. Let's see who actually makes him an offer before we start screaming about collusion. I also think that Lamar's greatest leverage passed 2 years ago. And this is one of the reasons that having an agent would have helped him. And this is not an infomercial for agents here, Rich. I'm just saying.
Go for it.
No agent on the planet would have allowed Lamar Jackson to go out there and play for $1.7 million in 2021. As a former NFL MVP early in his prime, there is no way that anybody would have allowed him to go out onto the field. Everybody last year talked about Kyler Murray's agent, Eric Burkhardt, and making fun of his manifesto that he put out at the start of the combine. Kyler Murray ultimately got paid. Everybody got mad at the agent. They didn't really get as mad at the player during that entire summer. He ultimately got a significant deal. And sometimes those are the things that need to happen. Lamar played for 1.7. He came back and played the following year for $23 million. Again, something that if he had an agent, that agent would have said, there's no way we're doing this. We need the deal done now. Even if it's not fully guaranteed, with quarterback contracts, it's not really about the guarantees because those guys get released so rarely. It's about cash flow. And the sooner you can get the cash flowing, the sooner you get back to the bargaining table. So Lamar played for, over the last 2 years, $26 million. And if he ultimately ends up going back to Baltimore and playing on the one-year tag, he's made $60 million over 3. Daniel Jones is making $82 million over 2 years on his new contract, not because he's better than Lamar Jackson. The Ravens' offers to Lamar Jackson were far greater than what Daniel Jones got or what Derek Carr recently got or any of these quarterbacks. They were willing to offer it and get the money moving. Now, all of a sudden, he's 2 years further down the line, and if he doesn't take a deal this year, he has literally left tens of millions of dollars on the table. And that's without getting into the present time value of money and what high-level investment people can do with that money, how much money he could have made off the money over the last couple of years. He's put himself in a spot now where he's already behind. And even if ultimately he gets a fully guaranteed contract this year or next year, it's a Pyrrhic victory of sorts because of the money he already left on the table that would have given him the security that ostensibly he's seeking with a fully guaranteed deal. And I don't mean that as a criticism of Lamar. He can choose to do whatever he wants. And on some level, in this day and age, in this NFL, you respect someone who money doesn't seem to be the driving force behind everything that he's doing. So it's not that what he's doing is wrong per se, but if we're talking about the leverage to get what you want, that passed, man. That was 2 years ago. Now he's going into a different spot where he, at minimum, may be able to play these teams off each other like Deshaun Watson and his agent David Mulugeta did last year. Will they be able to do that as effectively as somebody who actually has an agent? We'll find out starting in a week or so.
All right, in the 2 minutes I have left, then, we have a list of 9 teams that we boiled everything down to. I removed the teams that don't have a first-round draft choice this year because, again, that's going to be technically a requirement. I guess you can get around it for Lamar's services just to negotiate for them right now. Teams who just don't need a new quarterback, teams that would blow everyone's mind for Lamar, that I don't believe would go for him. I got a list of 9 teams: Jets, Raiders, Texans, Titans, Colts, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks, Commanders. Who do you think next Wednesday would be most likely to ring his phone first? What do you think?
Well, I think that's one of the other factors here is I don't know that you have an obvious team. If the Jets miss out on Aaron Rodgers and knowing how big Woody Johnson wants to swing, I don't think that you can rule out that possibility of him ending up with the Jets, although you would think that would also be an offer sheet that the Ravens would potentially want to match. Washington would make some sense, but they're also in a position where the team may be sold. Does that increase the value of the team, having Lamar Jackson? And, Dan Snyder can guarantee some other owner's money, and some other owner could put that $180 million into escrow next March? Maybe. But it doesn't sound like that's on the front burner for them right now. The Colts have a vacancy. I don't know on that one. I don't have a clear answer on that. Obviously, San Francisco, Brock Purdy's surgery is coming up tomorrow.
They don't have a first rounder. They don't have a first rounder.
They don't have a first round pick as of now. So
right. Sure.
Obviously that's a complication for him. It's you don't have that clear. This is where he's going to land. But I think that with somebody who's this unique of a talent and a unique proposition, it may take someone with some foresight. I mean, I don't think that we went into last March, Rich, saying the Browns absolutely need an upgraded quarterback. The other teams that were in on it made sense. It was the Panthers. It was the Falcons once you realized that they were probably moving on from Matt Ryan. With the Browns, I mean, Baker Mayfield had been told he was going to be the quarterback. He got so ticked off that we broke into free agency frenzy so I could deliver the news he'd requested a trade. And that was after they were told they were out on Deshaun Watson. So it might be something that shakes loose that we're not even thinking about right now with Lamar. It's really going to depend on a lot of different factors, including when that negotiating window opens up on Monday, does anybody jump at Jimmy Garoppolo? Does Baker Mayfield land in this spot where he's got a shot to compete? You've got some guys on the street. You've got other trade possibilities. What happens with Aaron? We'll know a lot more by next Wednesday. Right now, it's kind of hard to project other than there are a bunch of teams that don't have a clear starter.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.